Hello everybody, I am Jake, aka Bomber, and I welcome you into Jobber Radio's monthly Deathmatch Rundown. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you several different things that took place in September 2023 inside the deathmatch world of professional wrestling. I'm talking anything from those 5 must-see death matches that you better not skip over to special happenings in the scene that took place. This month was packed with 3 more deathmatch tournaments, and you better believe we're going to break them all down. And when it comes to those deathmatch championships, I have you covered in recapping each and every title match from the month. Now let's get this episode started with the Jesus Christ Spot of the Month. Now, I don't want needles and syringes to fill this segment every single month, but we got some up close and personal footage, thanks to Hardcam Frio, by the way, over at Horror Slam's Murder City Deathmatch Cup 2. Now, Chuck Stein is well versed in needle play, and I'm talking strictly deathmatch wrestling terms here, people. During the finals of the Murder City Deathmatch Cup 2, Chuck squared off against Malcolm Monroe III. He pulled a handful of syringes out of his jacket pocket and shoved 3 of them into the arm of MM3. Now, as bad as that was, we were in for an extreme close-up of MM3 shoving 3 more syringes in between the knuckles of Chuck's hand. He would painfully pull them out and continue the match, going on to win, by the way, but that up-close shot had me shouting, Jesus! We are getting started with 3 deathmatch tournaments that took place. Originally, there was going to be 4, yes, but the Jobber Radio sponsored CZW Tournament of Death was postponed. Yes, it was all over social media, and for some reason, there's controversy around this. There was a freaking tropical system coming through for an outdoor event. I don't know why people are surprised that this happened, but either way, the event is postponed till next month, so we're going to cover the Tournament of Death 20 next month on the rundown. October 7th, by the way, so if you're watching this right now when it comes out, this weekend. If not, it already happened. But either way, October 7th, TOD 20, coming to you. And if you want to see some major deathmatch news, if you want to go back and look at archives of different deathmatch tournaments, we're talking all the way back since 1996. Go to jobberradio.com. Quick little plug for you right there. A lot of work went into it. At least go check it out. Again, jobberradio.com. As for the tournaments this month, though, we have 3 to talk about, one of which Circle 6 had their first ever deathmatch tournament. Then we're going to jump over to Horror Slam for the Murder City Deathmatch Cup number 2. And then we're going to finish off with Primos. We're talking 14 tournaments in their history. 14th one took place in September. We're going to close with that. So let's get into it. 3 big tournaments. Let's go. On September 1st, Circle 6 held their first ever deathmatch tournament, calling it Sickest of the Six. It took place at Reggie's in Chicago, and it was streamed live for free on their YouTube channel. You simply can't beat that. The first match of the tournament saw Declan Grant face off against Dale Patricks in a barbed wire warfare match. Things started off with a little chain wrestling, and then it quickly escalated to ultra violence with some back and forth light tube headshots. And we saw a lot more than just barbed wire in this one. When it came to that barbed wire, though, Declan targeted Dale's leg and just did not let up. Taking even more of an advantage, Declan would low blow Patricks before driving him down through a barbed wire board. Finally slipping up, Declan missed a splash from the top rope and took a light tube bundle to the head as punishment. A limpy Dale Patrick then sent Declan through another bundle with a big choke slam to get the win. Dale Patricks advances to the second round, but just like during the Asylum Deathmatch tournament earlier this year, he will be dealing with a hurt knee. Next up, we have a painkiller match between Oren Veidt and the Death Fighter, Akira. This match also started out with some technical wrestling, which I just love to see. Oren was the first to taste glass as he was just chucked into a pane setup in the corner. After a couple headshots from Akira, he would set up a pane of glass onto some chairs, but his plan backfired when Oren shot him up with a military press, letting gravity do his bidding. Now on the ropes, literally, Veidt would send Akira crashing through more glass in the corner. Later, Akira countered Veidt by body slamming him onto some chairs and then finished him off by sacrificing his own body, hitting a senton from the top rope. He picked up the 3-count victory, and Akira will be moving on to the second round. For the final match in the first round, Otis Kogar came to the ring to take on Remington Roar in a blunt Force Trauma match. As you will see, that stipulation would turn out to be very fitting. Even at the beginning, we got brutal-looking punches from these two. Otis would pull out a razor, threatening to cut Roar up, but Roar showed him that size is everything with his machete. After the blood got flowing, Otis would take his time to set up some chairs, only for Roar to power slam him through them. Seeing how well that worked out, Roar created a pile of chairs and light tubes, only for Otis to superplex him down onto him. Then the trauma came with this devastating chair shot. Just take a listen.
Jesus, fuck! Oh, fuck! Somebody call the fucking morgue. Fuck! That's gotta be it. That has to be it.
Yeah, Otis Kogar moves on to the next round. One of the unique things about this tournament is we would get a last chance match between all the guys who lost in the first round, giving them one more opportunity to win this thing. What we didn't expect, though, is Tommy Vendetta entering this match as a fourth wild card participant. I mean, that seems a little unfair, right? But judging by his shirt, I think TOV doesn't mind pissing some people off. And just as expected, he was triple teamed in the beginning. Looking to cut all the corners, Tommy would even get some low blows in as well. Then deep into the match, we would get this four-way light tube trade-off, seeing everybody get in on the action. Roar and Declan would get knocked out of the ring, leaving just Vite and Vendetta. It looked like Orin was going to deliver maybe a DVD from the top rope, but Tommy countered it with this beautiful-looking DDT onto some chairs, allowing him to pick up the win. That means Tommy Vendetta, who wasn't even originally scheduled to be in this tournament, finds himself moving on to the second round. And in that second round, Dale Patricks came out to be chained to his opponent, Otis Kogar, in a dog collar match. Otis would quickly target the hurt knee of Patricks by pounding some chains into it. And if that wasn't enough, he would then ram a gusset plate into his knee as well. Pulling out his razor again, we watched as he cut into Patrick's forehead and then carved away at his mouth. Taking a ton of punishment in this one, Patricks was then whipped like a dog. He did manage to get a couple shots in here and there, but Otis went back right on the offense. The match took a big turn, though, when Otis was pulled off the top rope, sending him into a trash can. Dale was able to get the big man up for a monster chokeslam onto some light tubes to steal the victory. Bum knee and all, Dale Patricks makes it to the final round. Akira would be up next to take on Tommy Vendetta. I like how Akira would mix in some submissions with ultra violence, looking to end the match early. Tommy would try to take refuge on the outside of the ring, but took a 619 to the side of the head instead. Speaking of the outside of the ring, Vendetta also ate a rough-looking body slam onto a brick bench. Back in the ring, Tommy looked to take home the win with his pile driver onto some light tubes, but Akira kicked out at the very last second. Akira was out there putting on a clinic in this one with some impressive moves on a Tommy, including this suplex from the turnbuckle. Looking to close things out himself, Akira grabbed a big bundle of tubes and landed another big senton. He covered Tommy as the ref counted to 3, and the finals are set. We have Akira. We have Dale Patricks. We have exposed boards. And we have Drake Younger as a special referee. Who do you think was first to receive a blast from some light tubes? If you guessed Drake Younger, you are correct. With the ref down, the match had to continue. Dale was still suffering from that hurt knee, and he would once again take the brunt of the damage here. Drake would finally get up and attack the fill-in referee just for helping out. Then we got this awkward moment between Drake and Akira. More on that in a minute, because they would fight all over the arena here, and even after taking all of that damage, Dale wasn't done just yet. He would put Akira through a chair with his trademark chokeslam, but shockingly, Akira kicked out. Dale decided he was going to carve Akira up with a broken tube, but then Akira countered just by eating it out of his hand. We would go on to see some more high-impact moves here, leading to false finishes, but then Akira cleaned Patrick's clock and drove him down onto the boards with a butterfly DDT. Drake Younger counted to 3, and this brutal tournament has come to a close. Akira wins, becoming the sickest of the 6, and then he flipped off Drake, giving us one more little awkward moment between the two. Awesome tournament debut for Circle 6 here, and what a great performance from Akira all the way through to the end. September 8th saw Horror Slam host the Murder City Deathmatch Cup 2. Real quick, I want to thank Hardcam Frio for all the footage you're about to see. Go seek him out on YouTube. In the opening round, Chuck Stein would go toe-to-toe with a red-hot Tommy Vendetta, who has been lighting the scene on fire lately. Maybe it was the crowd getting to him, or maybe it was Chuck just being on his A-game here, but Vendetta seemed to get bested around each and every turn in this match. At one point, Tommy ripped Chuck's shirt off and drove him through a door with his backpack senton, senton. Then, just to drive the fans a little more into a frenzy, he put Chuck's shirt on over top of his own. Still too distracted with pissing the crowd off, Chuck countered Tommy's signature pile driver with a cover, catching him by surprise for the 3 count. Chuck Stein takes it over Vendetta. All right, 2 crazy SOBs were up next, with Schlack taking on Crazy King. As King was stabbing Schlack in the head with a light tube, Schlack just voluntarily started chopping down on some glass. Then we got some of the hardest looking chair shots of the entire night. These poor chairs just never stood a chance with these two. I mean, dear God. Crazy King powered Schlack up onto his shoulders and hit a part DVD, part Samoan drop through a table straight down to the floor. The human meat grinder was a-okay though, as he drove a bundle of light tubes straight through the chest of his opponent. King refused to stay down from that, but was soon put down for good with this sit-out powerbomb. Great effort here from Crazy King, but it is Schlack who advances to the next round. Another Tommy was up next, as Tommy Trainwreck would try his best to advance over Shane Mercer. Things started off with a lot of stiff shots from both competitors, with nobody really getting the clear advantage here. Well, that is until Mercer lifted Tommy up and drove him back first through a barbed wire wooden ladder. Keeping up with that momentum, Mercer quickly suplexed Trainwreck through a barbed wire board in the opposite corner. In a bit of a scary moment here, Trainwreck would go to give Mercer a sidewalk slam onto this barbed wire contraption and just missed impaling him onto a piece of wood that was sticking up. Mercer had his speed, agility, and of course his strength on full display in this one. All of those attributes though can fail you when you get DVD'd through a barbed wire door. Luckily, Mercer also had plenty of determination, because he battled back to shoot Tommy up onto his shoulders and bring him down directly onto this barbed wire webbing to take the win. Up next, the Horror Slam Deathmatch champion DBA put his title and his deathmatch career all on the line against his son, Malcolm Monroe III. With everything he had on the line, DBA utilized guitar shots, power bombs onto televisions, staples into the head, arm, and groin. With clotheslines and brainbusters like this, it looked like DBA was well on his way to retaining. He even chucked MM3 through a wooden board here and then landed his trademark burning elbow from the top rope, but none of that kept his son down. All it would take was for MM3 to land a perfectly placed kick, followed by some chloroform with his dad's bandana to make him fade away. MM3 was able to easily hit a double underhook powerbomb and get the win. That means Malcolm Monroe III wins the title, ends his dad's deathmatch career, and advances to the next round. Finishing up round 1, we have a triple threat match between the Horror Slam heavyweight champion Jeff King, John Wayne Murdoch, and Remington Roar. 4 perfectly good guitars were ruined in this match as Murdoch took control early. King just about shattered his tailbone here with this major miss off the middle rope through a chair and cinder block. Speaking of missing with cinder blocks, Roar cost himself big with this missed flying headbutt. And if you ask me, I think the cinder blocks were the only winners of this match. Murdoch got a little too cocky and opened himself up for some 2-on-1 action. I'm talking several light tube shots, a cradle breaker here, and a massive lariat. John Wayne Murdoch was pinned by both of his opponents, 1, 2, 3, and that means both Roar and Jeff King will be advancing to the next round. Real quick, I hate to do this, but there is unfortunately no footage of the second round of the Murder City Deathmatch Cup 2. Thank you so much for Hardcam Frio for the footage that you are watching for the first round. We do have the finals coming up, but the second round, we don't have any footage of it. And I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so it drives me nuts that there's no footage of it, but I scoured the internet. There were 2 triple threat matches in the second round. First, Malcolm Monroe III defeated Remington Roar and Shane Mercer. Then we had Chuck Stein advance to the finals after beating Jeff King and Schlack. So there you go. Those are your 2 finalists. We do have footage of that. Let's get to it now. So in the finals, Malcolm Monroe III wanted to up the stakes, so he put his newly won deathmatch title on the line, as well as the Murder City Deathmatch Cup. And obviously, Chuck Stein was happy to take that offer. They had to be running on fumes at this point, but that did not stop from them giving it their all, with light tubes flying everywhere. These gusset plays surely did not feel good, but neither were MM3's lethal kicks. We had some good old cacti involved in this final round match, as well as Oh yeah, needles. And not just 1 or 2 syringes either. Chuck put 3 into Malcolm's arm and then took 3 directly into his own hand. Left with just 1 hand to defend himself, Chuck pulled a huge counter off the top rope, sending MM3 crashing down through boards and light tubes. It would be enough to keep Malcolm down for the 3 count. Chuck Stein wins the Murder City Deathmatch Cup 2 and becomes the new Horror Slam Deathmatch champion in the process. Primo's Premier Pro Wrestling held its 14th Slave to the Deathmatch tournament over 2 nights on September 16th and 17th. All round 1 matches will see tag team death matches, with the winning team moving on to face each other in round number 2. Kicking off the tournament, Neil Diamond Cutter joined forces with Tyra Rusumi to take on Johnny Crash and his teammate Roland Doobie. Both Doobie and Crash were put through barbed wire doors as Neil and Tyra went on to dominate this opening round match. Tyra planted Doobie down with a tornado DDT as Neil finished him off with his Honey Badger Splash to take that win. Next up, the Slave to the Deathmatch veteran and winner of the 7th tournament, Mosh Pit Mike, joined forces with Ruby Flyer. Their opponents would be Uncivil Satu Jin and Jimmy Chondo Lion. Pinatas were brought into this match, and there was a very interesting use of a large crayon here. For the most part, though, this ended up being another one-sided beatdown, with Jin and Lion dishing out all of the punishment. Ruby and Mike's teamwork was completely non-existent here, and late into the match, Ruby just straight up cracked his partner in the head with a chair. That led to Chondo double stomping the door with light tubes and then pinning Mosh Pit Mike to get the win. Niles Blood won a gauntlet match to earn the final spot in the tournament, joining up with Brokeback Billy. They faced off against XJ Chaos and Mickey Knuckles. Knuckles would take Niles to task on the outside of the cage, aka the murder box, and then came back in to take Billy's head off. XJ Chaos did take part in this match. He had some strikes here and there and here and there. It was Mickey Knuckles, though, who steered her team to victory with her pump handle slam, sandwiching Billy. That would be enough to snag the 3-count victory. For the final tag match in round number 1, Chuck Stein came out next to team up with Dr. Redacted. Their opponents would be Aiden Blackheart and the Slave to the Deathmatch 8 winner, JD Horror. This match was just pure chaos, with light tubes flying everywhere, blood pouring from everyone, fans being put in danger, Redacted launching his body everywhere, syringes being shoved through necks. Yeah, it was that kind of a match. Thick panes of glass were used as well, one on Redacted in the corner and the other Stein used as a surprise attack on Blackheart. JD Horror would put Chuck through a door and a light tube with a Falcon Arrow, and then the end came when Blackheart delivered a flying elbow from the cage onto Chuck Stein. That would be it. Aiden Blackheart, JD Horror pick up the win, advancing to the 2nd round. For round number 2, Ruby Flyer won a second chance match to take on the 2 guys who beat him in the first round, Jimmy Chondo Lion and Satu Jin. Ruby got more offense here in the first 10 seconds than he did all of the first round, but Satu Jin picked up a couple strikes as he drove bowling balls right into his opponent's crotches. Chondo's bare feet came into play with a drop kick, sending Jin through a door and then a double stomp onto some tubes. Looking to seal the deal, Jimmy grabbed a weed whacker, but Jin put a stop to that real quick. Jin rammed the weed whacker into Jimmy's gut and then finished him off with a rock bottom. Satu Jin advances to the final round. Tyra Rusumi was up next to take on her partner from the first round, Neil Diamond Cutter. This match saw a lot of light tubes used, where some broke and others didn't even come close. You know what, for it being Neil's birthday, he sure did receive his birthday money in a pretty weird way. With everything else being used in this match, I'm talking tacks, staples, tubes, doors. Of course, we got a kitchen sink in there as well. It would be one major Honey Badger splash from the top of the cage, though, that would secure the victory for Neil Diamond Cutter, sending their birthday boy to the final round. I did not expect XJ Chaos to get the most boos out of everybody else in this tournament, but the Colorado crowd were not down with the deathmatch juggalo. And sure, it didn't help that his opponent was a fan favorite, Mickey Knuckles. I love how this fight went out through the crowd, and as they approached the bar area, Mickey ordered a shot, took her shot mid-match only to spit it out in XJ's face. Chaos went for a couple high-risk moves that some worked out in his favor while others didn't. Mickey would plant XJ through a door in the corner, covering him for that 3 count, meaning that she finds herself heading to the final round. In the last match of round number 2, Aiden Blackheart went one-on-one with JD Horror. And wow, these two came out to beat the hell out of one another. They started with these porcupine-looking weapons and went to light tubes, then exploding bats, and yes, a flaming master sword. Yeah, you can't make this up, folks. And there would be more fire because Blackheart would drive JD through a burning door. Aiden was almost impaled on this bucket of spikes, but he still found a way to kick out. There was one last bit of fire here with a table that wouldn't break. JD Horror did pick up that win, heading to the finals yet again. And it is time for those four-way finals. We have Satu Jin, Mickey Knuckles, Neil Diamond Cutter, and JD Horror. There was a lot going on here, including electrified light tubes. Jin and JD brawled out into the crowd, leaving Mickey and Neil to fight it out in the murder box. Then they would switch it up with JD being buried by street signs in the cage as Neil and Jin fought their way out into the fans. The Honey Badger would find some time to fly as the match started to come to an end. A shotgun kick from Mickey would take the original ref out of commission. Jin would pancake Neil. JD would take Jin's head off, and then Mickey would slam JD through a door in the corner, sitting on his face to get that win. Ladies and gentlemen, Mickey Knuckles takes the victory, becoming the 14th slave to the Deathmatch tournament winner. Originally, we were going to have 9 championship matches to cover again this month, which is a lot, but I don't think Schlack defended his title. There was a weird thing with XPW where he came out to face Alex Colon. You're going to see some of that later on in this show too, but I don't think his title was on the line. I think it was just the XPW World Heavyweight title. I'm not sure. There hasn't been any like real confirmation on that. I don't think the King of the Deathmatch's title was on the line. So that will officially not be covered right here in this section, the title portion, but we'll get to that a little bit later, like I said. And one last little tidbit, the Crimson Crown Wrestling Supreme Violence Championship was on the line this month, but the show has not been edited and released yet, so I can't show any footage of that. Homeless Jimmy did defend the title against BC Killer, but hopefully we can show that to you at some point. Unfortunately, we can't bring it to you here. It's a struggle sometimes. I know I want to show everything, but I can't show you what I can't get my hands on, people, okay? So we'll show you that later on down the road. But what we got 7 title matches that took place this month. Get them going. Things were personal in the H2O Danny Havoc Hardcore Championship match that took place at WrestleMania 6. Champion Bam Sullivan would be putting the belt on the line against Jimmy Chondo Lion, who believes no one has put their body on the line more than he has inside of H2O. Both men tasted carpet strips early in the match, but without a doubt, Chondo got the worst of them. Luckily for Chondo, though, low blows were completely legal. After a double stomp from the middle rope here, Chondo appeared to have suffered a bad cut and had to get it taped up immediately. And I mean, leave it to Jimmy. The one time he gets cut bad was the time he's wearing boots. With the champ on the ropes here, Chondo set up a dangerous looking chair upside down with light tubes laying across it. He was going for his crossroads here, but was countered with Bam's rolling Death Valley driver nearly impaling the challenger. That would be that. Bam Sullivan picked up the win and retains the H2O Danny Havoc Hardcore World Championship. On September 8th at the Horror Slam Murder City Deathmatch Cup 2, the Deathmatch champion DBA was scheduled to face his son, Malcolm Monroe III, in the opening round of the tournament. Before the match, DBA announced that he was putting the title on the line as well as his deathmatch career. They fought all over the ringside area, seeing MM3 take a nasty-looking powerbomb through a TV screen. Then after stapling several dollars to each other, DBA left his son squealing like a pig with a shot down low. Not ready to face the music just yet, DBA fought hard for his title and his career here. He about split MM3 in half with this toss into the corner through a wooden beam. Climbing up to the top rope, DBA lit his elbow pad on fire and drove it down through the heart of his son, but shockingly, it would not be enough. MM3 snatched his dad's bandana, doused it in chloroform, and shoved it into his face. Just before he fell asleep, he flipped his father up and planted him down with a double underhook powerbomb to pick up that win. Malcolm Monroe III is the new Horror Slam Deathmatch champion, and he has put an end to his father's deathmatch career. We got a little bonus history with this match here, and you know what? It was a great career, so let's celebrate that. On the same night, the new champion, Malcolm Monroe III, made it to the finals of the Murder City Deathmatch Cup 2, where he would face Chuck Stein. Just like his dad did in the opening round, MM3 got on the mic saying he wanted to up the odds, making this match for both the Murder City Deathmatch Cup number 2 and the Horror Slam Deathmatch title. With light tubes surrounding the ring, these two had glass flying all over the place. After some gusset plates were rammed into Chuck's head on both sides of his mohawk, he broke out a handful of needles, much to the crowd's delight. He proceeded to shove 3 of the syringes into the arm of MM3. And that's where Malcolm returned the favor by holding Chuck's hand down with his foot and driving the remaining syringes into his hand. It was grotesque, it was horrifying, and the fans loved every second of it. Dealing with just one hand now, Chuck was in trouble, but he wasn't out just yet. He countered a suplex through a wooden board and light tubes, driving MM3 down and to the mat. He quickly made the cover, scored that 3-count victory, getting the win. Chuck Stein has won the Murder City Deathmatch Cup number 2 and won the Horror Slam Deathmatch title for a record 5th time. September was quite the month for the GCW Ultra Violent Championship. Rina Yamashita brought the title to the UK to defend it against Scotland's Emerson Jane on September 15th. After 2 quick German suplexes to start this match off, light tubes just started flying. Emerson would counter Rina, slamming her face first into a cluster of light tubes in the corner, opening up a bad cut on Rina's cheek. Blood was literally pouring from both competitors at this point. Just when you thought Rina seen the worst of it, Emerson grabbed a hacksaw, yes, I just said a hacksaw, and began sawing away at the champion's head. I wasn't kidding, look at the blood just pouring down Rina's face here. If you couldn't tell already, the Madonna of the death match, Emerson Jane, looked great in this match. If it wasn't her lethal snap suplexes, it was her Frankensteiner on the tubes. If it wasn't her suicide dives, it was her brutal kicks. Right when I thought Rina was about to lose her title, she reached down deep, driving the challenger down to the mat with her trademark Splash Mountain Bomb to score the win. And you know what? Full disclosure here, I've never heard of Emerson Jane before this match. And if you're in the same boat as I was in, you need to go out of your way to seek her out. Great performance from both competitors here, but Rina limps away, still the champ. Believe it or not, the very next night at GCW in Liverpool, Rina Yamashita put her title on the line yet again. This time against Session Moth Martina, who did not seem to be super excited to step into a death match with Rina. In fact, if Session wasn't trying to run away from the match, she was trying to bribe the champion. And no surprise here, but none of that worked out. It was only a matter of time before Session's blood started to flow. The champ was in total control of this match until she slipped up and poured beer down Session's throat, completely energizing her and practically got her hulking up to beat away at her opponent. After several counters trying to take advantage here, Rina was the one who drove Session through a carpet strip board with an air raid crash. It was a fun game of cat and mouse for a while, but in the end, Rina hit that deadly Splash Mountain Bomb through a bunch of light tubes to snag that 3-count win. That makes for 2 impressive defenses, meaning Rina Yamashita leaves Liverpool still the GCW Ultra Violent Champion. Then the following weekend, GCW traveled to Germany to work some shows with WXW, and on September 22nd, at the show titled Long Live GCW, Rina defended her Ultra Violent Championship against Jimmy Lloyd. Actually, this marks the Different Boys' second shot at Rina. He suffered a loss to her back in May in Detroit. A kendo stick was introduced into this match, which absolutely shattered over the head of the champion. Jimmy tried using barbed wire and staple guns against Rina, doing anything to just slow her down. But I think we all know that's just about impossible at this point, because she grabbed some skewers, driving them into his forehead, and gave him a scary looking DDT. Just to show you how insane she actually is, she pulled the skewers out of Jimmy's head and drove him into her own to fire herself up. In what would have put an end to any other champion's reign, Jimmy Lloyd drove Rina down through 2 barbed wire boards onto a concrete floor. But Rina is just a different human being. She would battle back to hit her big splash onto another barbed wire board and then power Jimmy up into the air, bringing him down onto a chair to finish him off with that Splash Mountain Bomb. With that win, that makes Rina 3 for 3 in title defenses in September. And oh yeah, she wasn't done just yet. You guessed it, less than 24 hours later, Rina Yamashita would come down to the ring one more time at the GCW vs. the World show to defend her Ultra Violent Championship against Lou Nixon, who was making his GCW debut. Lou thought that he was going to outsmart his opponent by gluing thumbtacks to his fist to start the match, but Rena latched onto his arm and quickly cleared all the tacks off. The champion then really took advantage of the intergender portion of this match with their testicular claw, make that a double claw, followed by a perfectly placed staple gun shot. As Rena does, she found a unique way to introduce thousands of thumbtacks into this match. That's where they traded German suplex after suplex after suplex after suplex. Storage bins even found their way into this match when Nixon launched Rena off the top rope, sending her crashing down through a pyramid of them. Knowing he had to push Rena to her absolute limit, Lou made his way up the stage to retrieve a weed whacker. Rena quickly disarmed her opponent and slammed the weed whacker into Nixon's arm, slicing his skin up. All that was left to do was set up a makeshift barbed wire board bridge and send Nixon through it with a splash mountain bomb. Oh yeah, Rena picks up the victory and makes it 4 successful title defenses for the GCW Ultra Violent Championship, all in the month of September. On September 23rd, in ICW No Hold Barred's Volume 52 main event, Hoodfoot put the ICW American Deathmatch Championship on the line against the man that he took the title from all the way back in April, Brandon Kirk. Hoodfoot went to swing a couple of light tubes to start this thing out, but clearly Brandon was having none of that. As this fight spilled outside of the ring, Hoodfoot used Kirk's arms as a pin cushion for 4 gusset plates. Kirk got his revenge though with a back body drop, almost cutting the champ in half with a steel chair. In a little bit of a twist, Hoodfoot was the one to set 6 chairs up in the ring, looking to dish out Kirk's trademark move onto himself. But Brandon wouldn't be shown up with his own setup and landed the
Psycho Driver! Fuck your life!
On the champ. Then we got a very rare kick out of that move, which led Brandon to lose his cool, going straight for his knife. As referee Gina went to pull the knife away, he lost his cool yet again, shoving her down to the mat. That's when referee Shiny Shoes, who initially cost Kirk the title, ran out in her defense but was chucked right through them chains. As Kirk turned his attention back to Hoodfoot, Gina drilled him in the face with a bundle of light tubes. The champ immediately hit his Saito suplex and then blasted Brandon with a lariat into light tubes to score the victory. Hoodfoot retains, and Brandon Kirk's luck with referees just cannot get any worse right now. I know I'm a broken record when I say this every single month, but it was so difficult to pick only 5 matches from September here. Trust me, I know there's good matches that didn't make the list, but here you go. These are the 5 must-see matches that I'm telling you right now, you need to go out of your way if you didn't see them this month. On a very rainy September 23rd, ICW No Holds Barred packed the H2O Wrestling Center for the Volume 52 event, and boy are they glad they did, because Reed Bentley and Matt Tremont put on one hell of a death match. The Ultra Violence started slow and ramped up consistently throughout. Light tube headbutts got Tremont dancing a little jig while Reed took his opponent to task. Crowd brawling was on tap, as well as the beer Bentley smashed over the back of Tremont's head. Now, I've seen arms worked over before in wrestling, but never with a cinder block and never like this. Running out of weapons at ringside, Bentley just started using fans to pummel Matt. Once back in the ring, things somehow got even more violent. I'm talking tubes on tubes on tubes. Oh, and yeah, lots more tubes. This wasn't a ladder match, but it did get plenty of use here. Thank God Bentley missed this ladder javelin throw. Now, after completely destroying the ladder, Reed piled everything left in the ring on top of it, but as he was climbing up to the top platform, Tremont caught him with a right hand and finished him off with a Death Valley driver. Matt Tremont was victorious in a nearly 20-minute bloodbath beatdown. Without a doubt, one of the best death matches you will see this month. Both of these guys killed it. On September 15th, GCW teamed up with TNT Extreme Wrestling in Liverpool, England. On the very first night of their 3-show weekend, GCW Ultra Violent champion Rina Yamashita faced off against a wrestler who I admittedly was not very familiar with, Emerson Jane. With the title on the line, this ended up being a hard-hitting, even harder slamming, brutal affair. Early into the match, Rina was slung face-first into light tubes set up in the corner of the ring. She suffered a big cut on her cheek, and instantly you could see the blood start pouring down her face. With Emerson sporting a half crimson mask herself, she went toe-to-toe with Rena, one of the top deathmatch wrestlers today, and she never lost a step. She showcased her speed, strength, technical skill, striking, and a little bit of high flying, all while mixing in ultra-violent elements. This match left fans talking, and many, including myself, thought this match stole the entire weekend of shows. I may even go way out on that limb and say that throughout Rena's year-plus long reign, this match lands near the top of her best title defenses. The show is TNT's Project X, and it is on Fight TV, as of this recording at least, so go out there, seek out this match if you missed it. Night 2 of GCW's trip to the UK saw Big F and Joe and Clint Margera take on Los Macizos in the main event at GCW in Liverpool on September 16th. Joe got fired up from the start of this match, and honestly, without tagging a whole lot, Joe and Clint seemed to gel perfectly as a team, looking very strong early on. The action was non-stop here, with split boxes being the only way to follow all of the violence. At one point, Ciclope poured a tub of salt and lemon juice all over his own body like a madman. Muedo then introduced a thumbtack Nerf gun that Joe got his hands on and shot a dart, sticking it right into Muedo's head. And that dart stayed there a while too. After this big sequence of moves from everyone involved, the fans showed their support by throwing out a bunch of cheers for approval. But we did have a scary moment in this match when Los Macizos went to hit a doomsday device on Big F and Joe, who fell awkwardly through a pane of glass. Come to find out, he sliced his arm up very badly, but like the psycho that he is, he just kept going in this match. Muedo would lay Margera out with a Michinoku driver as Ciclope climbed up to the top rope with the Mexican flag cape on. He landed a beautiful splash with the light tube to finish Joe off. Los Macizos win this match and continue to prove why they are the must-see tag team in the deathmatch scene. XPW closed out the month on September 30th with their show South of Heaven. World champion Alex Colon was originally scheduled to face The Body, but before the match began, The Body stumbled out after being attacked. That is when the XPW King of the Deathmatches champion Schlack came out from the back to take his spot in the match. It wasn't the prettiest of matches this month, but my God, did these two go through hell. With Schlack on the ring apron, he pulled Cologne from the top, going through tubes, a board, and almost a door. Yeah, I'm pretty positive Schlack got the worst of that, by the way. The deeper this match got, the more violent each guy became. Alex Colon refused to stay down despite all of the damage that he was taking. We're talking about a powerbomb on his neck through a pane of glass, a second powerbomb onto more glass, even a decapitating lariat with tubes. Meanwhile, Schlack took a rough-looking Spanish fly onto storage bins, a double stomp from the top rope onto a monster bundle of light tubes, as well as another double stomp while holding onto the ropes for his dear life. The end only came when Schlack realized that Colon was not going to stay down for a 3 count, so he latched onto his arm, pulling it back with all his might until Alex was forced to submit. We got a surprise XPW World title match here, and a surprise new champion with Schlack, who now holds 2 belts. Like I said, this match was not the cleanest, but dear Lord, was it filled with pure high-caliber ultra violence. And I gotta add in a little bonus points for the commentary here. Larry Legend was on another level during this match. Just listen to a little bit of what he had to say.
They don't give, they don't budge, they take that strong style, they shove it up your ass! They shove it up your ass! I dance with the devil! I dance with Satan!
Still not enough!
Get the damn motherfucker, you're gonna have to do more than that! You're gonna have to do more than that!
Is that enough?
And Schlack will not die!
Fucking Alex!
Will not die!
And Colon looks like he's...
Schlack will not die!
Going back to that ICW No Holds Barred Volume 52 show, Dr. Redacted was originally scheduled to face off against Cruel. With Cruel unable to attend, Eric Ryan stepped up in his place, and wow, what a match these two put on. From the rip, Redacted chucked Ryan through a pane of glass, and the intensity stayed up all the way through. This match was as back and forth as they come, seeing some of the best deathmatch wrestling you're gonna see all month. One thing I hope these guys learned was never turn your back on your opponent because it costs both of them dearly. After giving Ryan a Death Valley driver through a door and tubes, Redacted would send him face first through even more light tubes. He would then follow that up with a submission, mixing up the ultra violence here. Even after eating a bundle of tubes, Redacted refused to relinquish Eric's arm. Eventually, Eric would roll Redacted over and lock in a side triangle choke. Then it was the doctor's turn to try breaking it up with tubes himself, but after some vicious headbutts, Redacted lost consciousness, giving the win to Eric Ryan. What an awesome match we had here. Trust me on this one. Don't miss out on this. And there are your 5 must-see matches from September 2023. I know I like the Atticus Kogar and Danny DeMonto match as well. There's several others. Malcolm Monroe. There's so many other matches happened that I just can't fit it in, people. I can't do it. Hell, I almost put El Hijo del Vikingo and Mike Bailey in this, but I couldn't quite count those as death matches. I feel like other people would have missed out on this that were actually in real full-on death matches. So either way, thank you so much for watching the video. Spread the love. Jobber Radio. Go to jobberradio.com right now. Like us on all the social medias. Just hit up Jobber Radio. You'll find us. The number one thing you can do, I say it every time, is just spread the word. Spread that deathmatch gospel, baby. Tell people, hey, I know you're a little squeamish, but come over here and watch this. Let's see how you can stomach this. We got to spread the deathmatch wrestling love. We got to get this community going. Please stop fighting out there, by the way, everybody. I see you guys on social media fighting over the dumbest crap ever. It's so weird seeing everybody. We should be in this together, and yet the small community, small little niche community we have, people still fight in it. I don't understand. We should be in this together over the dumbest stuff too. Anyway, that's it. I'm not gonna sit here and jump in here and talk about that anymore. But please, jobberradio.com, check it out one more time, and we'll see you on the next episode. Support deathmatch wrestling, support independent wrestling, pay the ones to do what we all love. Don't be a dick. Do not be a pirate. And most importantly, how about you have a great day? We'll see you next time. Thank you very, very much.
No! Sweet Mary, Mother of God!